If you've lived in South Carolina for any length of time, you know that all up and down the coast are old abandoned rice fields. Now, rice culture in South Carolina started in the late 1600s and went through the early 1900s. But one thing you may not know is what exactly happened to all those rice fields after they were abandoned. Rice fields of South Carolina are some of the most beautiful and diverse habitats anywhere. Today you can even see the remnants of what was once thousands of acres of hand-planted rice. But to really understand them, you have to go back in time to when they were made. Make no mistake, these lands were created from swampland by plantation slave labor. Rice was the cash crop in South Carolina, and slaves were the reason it happened.
But they represent something that I think people just have forgotten. And we need to educate people as to what really went on in those rice fields before they were abandoned.
So what did go on in those fields? In case you think it was easy work to cultivate a rice field, think again.
Come out with me in August when it's 110 degrees and no shade, and I'll put you out on the rice bank with a shovel and a hoe and let you work 8 hours out there and with the mosquitoes and the horseflies, and then you come back and tell me it probably wasn't a very rough life out there.
Many of these rice fields were dug in the late 1600s. In case you don't have a calculator, that's over 330 years ago. The original rice is long gone, but today you can still see the rows that were planted. In all that time, these wetlands have changed through a process known as succession. What once started as a swamp was transformed into a rice field, abandoned, and now is turning back into a forest.
When these fields were abandoned back after the Civil War, they are now starting to, some of them revert back to swamp forest. Now, we don't know what's going to look like when they go all the way back to swamp forest. A lot of these rice fields contain a whole variety of wildflowers, spotted lily, pond lily, things such as that.
And that's a really important question. What will happen to these species?
My gut feeling is that if these rice fields do respond or convert back to a cypress swamp or some type of swamp system, they'll be all along the edge, the habitat for these aquatic plants. A lot of these aquatic plants, when the rice fields were abandoned, they moved in from the edge of the rivers in the creek. So you may lose much of the habitat in the middle of the rice fields for wild rice and spotted lily and pond lily, but I believe that on the edge of these rice fields where it borders the rivers, you'll still have a tremendous variety of wildflowers.